Lizzie Borden took a camera. She made 40 flicks. When she saw what she had done, she went on the television and made 41. Yeah, I just pulled that out of my ass. Anyway, this is Cinema77 horror and cult film lover, and I'm back with another video. And yeah, I was trying to remember. I remember this movie that I saw years ago that I really wanted to talk about, and I thought it would be good for be good for a review. And unfortunately, the movie is no longer in it's no longer in print. I'm really hoping that at some point, when I say, well, you already know because the title's in the title tells you what the movie is. But yeah, anyway, I was hoping that, or at least I really do hope that at some point, maybe some company, I don't care if it's like Arrow, Kino Lorber, Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, somebody, hopefully somebody will get a hold of this movie and give it the Blu-ray treatment, fix it up, and everything else. And first of all, before I get started talking about the movie, when I say that Lizzie Borden made a movie, I'm not talking about this Lizzie Borden. Okay, I'm not talking about the serial killer who, or the supposed serial killer who is supposed to have murdered her father and stepmother. So, no, I'm not talking about that Lizzie Borden. I'm talking about this Lizzie Borden. Now, this Lizzie Borden, she is a writer, director, producer, film editor, and I first became aware of her when I was reading John Russo's book, Making Movies, which is basically like a tutorial, kind of a step by step guide on how to, prepare and film a low budget film and everything else, and giving his details and giving his secrets and everything else. And, in the book, he had numbers of interviews with, he talked to Tom Savini and George Romero and Sam Raimi and so many others. And one of the people he talked to was Lizzie Borden right here. Now Lizzie Borden, she decided that she wanted to make movies, and she ended up, she got started in the business, but she worked, on other people's sets and stuff like that. She had to work her way up to becoming a director, and she worked her way up to editor and stuff. And what she ended up doing, she said in the book Making Movies, was that she would, take some of the when she was editing movies, she would take some of the unused film and, just use it. And she would use that to, make her own films and splice it all together and everything else. And she had made, several, well, she made a number of independent feature films. Probably her most commercially successful one would probably have to be the erotic thriller Love Crimes, starring Patrick Bergin and Sean Young. And she had done a number of TV shows. She had worked on Silk Stockings and Red Shoe Diaries, among others. And but anyway, though, the movie that she did that we're going to talk about is this movie from 1986 called Working Girls. Now, I have to admit, now I'm going to be right up front with you. Okay, this is not an exploitation film. It's not really an erotic film. This is more of a feminist film. Okay, and now before, just bear with me. Okay, um, you know, now being said that this is a feminist film, don't turn off the video just yet. Okay, let me explain. Now, the movie, what Lizzie Borden did was she actually went and she visited like high class brothels, and she saw, like, kind of like the ins and outs of the operation, like, how do they treat the customers, what do they say, how do they deflect certain situations and things like that. And she decided she wanted to make a movie about it, and she wanted to do it, showing, the reality of it and things like that. And so, I mean, kind of in a similar way, sort of like what Kevin Smith did with Clerks. When Kevin Smith made Clerks, he wanted to do a movie about, the 9 to 5 grind of a convenience store clerk, but he did it with more humor. Whereas Lizzie Borden, she did hers about a brothel, girls working in a brothel, but she did it more in a more serious vein. And but the movie is not bad. I mean, if you were ever curious about, like what went on, what goes on behind the scenes of a brothel, I mean, I imagine there are probably some guys out there who are just like, when it comes to a brothel, they're like, dude, as far as I'm concerned, a brothel to me should be like a Little Caesar's pizza. Them bitches should just be hot and ready by the time I walk in the door. I don't care what goes on behind the scenes. I'm sure there are plenty of people like that. But I mean, if you were ever kind of curious, just to see like what the day to day would be like for women having to be in that situation, and just kind of like the whole minutia of how it works and everything else. This movie is actually it's interesting. It's a well made movie, and like I said, I'm disappointed that right now that it's out of print. I really do hope that at some point it does get like re-released. Hopefully, on Blu-ray. It's like I said, I don't care. Arrow, Lorber, Severin. I don't care who does it. But hopefully somebody gets a hold of it and re-releases it. Now, the movie, I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, there's definitely sex and there is nudity in this movie, but it's not, you know, while the women do look beautiful and they look good naked and stuff like that, it's not. You're going to find out it's not really meant to be titillating so much. It's just kind of more informative. The movie starts out okay. You know, we open. I'm trying to. Okay, bear with me. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, and I haven't been able to get a DVD of it so I could rewatch again. There's a very cut up, truncated version of it you can watch on YouTube for free, but I really don't recommend it. Especially if you want to see the nudity and stuff like that. Yeah, you really don't want to watch this because all that's pretty much cut out. But the movie starts off. We're introduced to our main character who's named Molly, and like in the first several minutes of the movie, we learn pretty much everything we need to know about Molly, and not through narration, but Lizzie Borden does a really good job. She does it through imagery, and we learn right from the get go that we learn that Molly is she's a photographer. She wants to be a professional photographer. She wants to have her own business. We learn that Molly is a lesbian, and that her and her lesbian lover they're raising a child together, and basically that if I remember correctly, I think that it's come out in the movie that the girlfriend never knows exactly what Molly does for a living, so she's never really told like the whole reason why she has money and stuff like that. I don't know unless I don't remember. Like I said, been a while I've seen since I've seen the movie. So anyway, so Molly's going to work and everything else, and then it turns out that the place she works at is this kind of really nice, kind of plush, or I mean posh New York apartment. It has all these multiple bedrooms and stuff like that. And so she goes in there and she's kind of getting everything set up for the day and making sure they got plenty of towels, making sure they got this and that and the other thing, and making sure that the rooms have like what they need, like Kleenex, condoms, things like that, stuff like that. And at one point, Gina, one of her coworkers, comes in, and we see Molly in the bathroom, and Lizzie Borden was trying to be brave. Like I said, this whole thing is kind of the whole point of this movie is kind of show you like what's going on behind the scenes of a brothel, and we see Molly. She's trying to insert a diaphragm, and this is this was 1986, so this wasn't one you had like the little teeny weeny little like kind of like T-shape, almost wishbone shaped kind of diaphragm. This is when you had those round plastic things, look like discs and everything else. And so she was trying to get, she's trying to get that in, and Gina comes in, and she's like, they're bantering and stuff like that, and so anyway, so they're about ready to start the day and everything else, and then there's a third girl that comes in, Dawn, and so Dawn is she's kind of like the really like she's the one who's got a little bit of an attitude, and she's the one who's like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean she's just kind of she's like the street smart girl who's she's she's worldly. She's she's been on the streets. She has a mouth on her and stuff like that, and so so they all start going to work, and then you do get a series of different sex scenes where like Molly or one of the other girls, they go and they're having sex with a client and stuff, and they show that like the way it was done, the way Lizzie Borden saw it was that in real life these were all very clean, very kind of sanitary conditions and stuff. Like the man would be asked, when they go into the room, the man would be asked to clean himself and wash up, and he would be asked, well, he wouldn't be asked, he would be instructed to wear a condom because it's like, yeah, they're they were very strict about that, no diseases, stuff like that, and everything else. And and it shows different things, like different things going on throughout the day, and the girls have conversations about like, well, have you ever had a man like, you know, tell you to, get up and like chant that you're a whore and all this other kind of stuff. And we find out that that's actually kind of a real trigger for Molly, is that she doesn't like being called a whore. Of course, how many women do like being called a whore anyway. But so anyway, so yeah, so I think the one thing that would kind of make this movie seem just a tad unrealistic, it seems like, wow, it's amazing how much stuff all occurs in this one day. And I think Lizzie Borden just wanted to just try to make a movie where, try to get all her points in, and she's got the one location, it's set up for one day and everything else. And so, at one point, like Molly is trying to train a new girl, and um, and so like, and Molly's dealing with different situations, whereas like, like she gets done having sex with a client, like the client would ask her, like he would turn around and give her a gift, and he would ask her that, would it be okay, maybe I could, take you out sometime, could I take you to dinner or something like that. And the thing I like about Molly is, even though, this is a feminist movie and Molly is a lesbian, she's not in, having sex with men is her job, but it's not something that she's really into. She's not enjoying it or anything. It's her way to pay the bills. That being said, though, Molly is never nasty to the guys. She never comes off as a man hater. She never does any of that kind of stuff. It's like when the guys ask her, "Hey, could I maybe take you to dinner, or would you like to meet outside here and stuff like that?" She very kindly deflects the situation, and she lets them down easy. She tells them like, it would not be good because, you know, yeah, that could get me into a lot of trouble if if it turns out I'm dating somebody that comes here to visit and stuff. But hey, you come back and visit me anytime you want. I'll always be here for you and everything else, and please don't stop coming around because I'd miss you and stuff like that and everything. And she knows how to handle her customers, which is really cool. And but like I said, even though she's not into men sexually or anything like that, she's not a man hater. So that kind of really, excuse me, and that really kind of adds up the bonus points for Molly as a character. And then, later on in the film, I mean, like at one point they're showing kind of like stuff that like the girls decide they're going to have their lunch, and so they're just eating lunch, eating salads, eating burgers, things like that. And a customer comes up and they're like, "Oh my God, no offense against the guys, but just I'm not in the mood right now. I just want to eat my lunch," stuff like that. So you could understand that. But and then we see Molly in other types of situations where like she's like one point she's dealing with a customer who doesn't want to wear a condom, and she's like, "No, if you want to have sex with me, you got to wear a condom. No, no condom," and all this stuff. And so they show how she deals with that situation and stuff like that. And then we meet the madam of the brothel, and her name is Lucy. And Lucy kind of has a thing about screwing over her girls. I mean, she kind of goes over and over. She's always like telling them all the time, I give you a good place to work. You're not on the streets. You're not in any danger. You have protection here and all this other kind of stuff. Now you need to do what I tell you to do and all this other kind of stuff. And I keep you from, pimps and everybody trying to, people trying to kill you and trying to rape you and all this kind of stuff and everything else. But, you realize like a lot of the time she's saying that shit just to get what she wants, just to get her own way. And, unfortunately, like Molly, she's basically, her schedule is supposed to be like just kind of like a regular, like 9 to 5 job. I mean, she's supposed to be home in the evenings and all this kind of stuff. Then she gets screwed over by Lucy. Lucy comes in, she's got her little boy toy with her, and they're sitting there talking and all this kind of stuff. Well, her boy toy is really like making eyes at Molly, really, wanting to get with her. Of course, Molly has no interest in this guy whatsoever. And Lucy turns around. She basically makes Molly pull a double shift. And so, she's like, "No, wait a minute. I'm supposed to go." And well, I'll have somebody come in for you and all this stuff. But just hang in here and cover everything until I get somebody to come in and all this stuff. Which we find out Lucy never does. She does not bother to get anybody to come in. And then, at one point, I think it's Gina talks about, you really should become your own madam and run your own brothel and stuff. I'd come to work for you and stuff like that instead of, like making all this money for Lucy and everything else. And at one point, one guy comes in that we realize is like a regular customer of Molly's, and he ends up insulting her, calling her a whore and all this other kind of stuff. And he's like, well, you need to face facts, baby. That's what you are. You're a dirty whore and all this stuff. And so, so yeah, Molly's just, it's kind of like the culmination of everything is just leading up to it. And by the end of the night, it's late. Molly's getting ready to get out and all this other kind of stuff. And, so of course, working in a brothel, she has to give a percentage of her money that she makes to Lucy and everything else. And then, so she's all like, yeah, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And she's all like, no, I'm saying goodbye. This is it. I'm not coming back to work and everything. No, you need me and all. No, I don't need you. I'm done with this. What about your regulars? Not my problem. Get somebody else, and all this stuff. And so, the movie pretty much ends with Molly quitting, and she's, go on, and she's going to do something else to, open up her own business and make her way. And, we never really find out what, it's like, it may turn out that even Molly herself decides to become a madam and runs her own brothel. And she goes, stops at the ATM, deposits her money in the bank, buys some roses for her girlfriend and stuff, and buys a little surprise for their little daughter. And she goes home, climbs into bed with her loved one, and that's pretty much where the movie ends. So, but anyway, yeah, that was it. We talked about the 1986 movie Working Girls, and I'm sorry if I didn't point it out sooner. This one is Molly in the center. This one here is Dawn, and this one is Gina. And yeah, a very good movie, very underrated movie in my opinion. And like I said, it's for a feminist film, it's not bad at all. It's well made, and the acting is good. Even though there are kind of a couple of moments where the acting does come off a little amateurish, but still, she made a really good movie. And yeah, this is a movie I really do hope that at some point we will see a Blu-ray release of this. And like I said, it's interesting. It's not the most erotic film in the world, but it's got nudity. If you want nudity, it's definitely got that in there for you. So, but yeah. So I think if you can ever find a DVD copy of it, yeah, snag that because it's going to be worth something, I guess, because it's not available anywhere else. Like I say, you can watch it on YouTube, but it's in a chopped up version. You don't want to watch that. So, but anyway, that's it. We talked about Working Girls from 1986, directed by Lizzie Borden. Anyway, so if anybody took the time to watch all of this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. This is Sinema77, Horror and Cult Film Lover, and I'll be back with another video soon, and I hope you have a good evening. Take care. Have a good night.